Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. This is Locked On Hornets here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On Hornets Live. That's right. If you're watching us here on this Tuesday evening, welcome. We are live. Anything can happen. And in fact, anything can happen. Unfortunately, it looks like I thought we were going to have Adi Joseph on. We got to get him on later, though. It's always a great time talking to Adi, but unfortunately, he couldn't make it. So that's okay, because we have plenty to talk about. Calm down.
All right, I'm over.
All right, it's Hornets Talk for the hardcore fan, coming to you from the Gittimer.com studios in BEA, beautiful Uptown Charlotte. I'm Doug Branson, joined by the man. He's usually in the middle, but now he's just to my far left. David Walker, the man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, my man?
I gotta say, it's nice to be able to stretch the old wings over here. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Good.
Just make it real. It's good to be here, Doug.
But unfortunately, so normally we have Justin Thomas from ESPN Charlotte. He's still going to be here. Actually, he's live in Spectrum Center covering this game that's about to happen in, a little under an hour now. The Hornets taking on the Detroit Pistons, trying to keep their streak alive. We will give him a ring here in a few minutes, so we're looking forward to that. He'll be joining us just in a few. We've got a great show ahead. We've got Justin. We're going to do some phase or stays, talking about some trends that we're seeing with this Hornets roster. Will it be a phase, or is it here to stay? I have a feeling David and I might disagree about just a few of these. Also, what do we have? Oh, yeah, the Showdown, week 2 of the Showdown with Calamity James. Looking really forward to that. She's going to get you prepared for some of the big matchups that loom large in this Hornets week ahead. So before we do any of that, I guess we should start the show how we start every show. That's by hitting him with the step back. Got to hit the 3 on that one. We are stepping back, hitting the step back. 3 things we saw, actually just 2 things because we're down a man. 2 things we saw in this past week of Hornets action. David, what you got?
Doug, I don't like to go negative right off the bat, but Marco Bellinelli didn't leave me much choice. Now, you wouldn't let me bring in as positive, so I could have balanced it out. You're a stickler for the rules, and I respect you for that.
It's one thing per person.
Okay?
We have to have struggle. I'm like Steve Clifford. I'm methodical. I know what it takes to make this a winning live YouTube show.
Okay, all right.
All right, what you got?
So Marco Bellinelli struggled a little bit with the man-to-man defense over the weekend and let his guy go backdoor a few too many times for my liking. Now, I did get into some Twitter conversations with some other folks, and they said, some help side D, some defensive principles could have led to that, and all that is true, but I know that happened a bit too much for Steve Clifford's liking, and Bellinelli lost his guy a couple of times, and some of these are just bad man-to-man principles.
And by the way, thanks for this video to Rainus from atthehive.com. Oops, all right. We'll play it again because we'll play it twice because it's so nice.
Yeah, this is the greatest hits from that night. And you saw some of this, so some of these may have been new to you, Doug. You tell me. I mean, fresh eyes.
No, this has been happening with a few Hornets players, namely Marco Bellinelli, Frank Kaminsky, Jeremy Lamb's been hit on the back door a few. So, this is the kind of thing. And Steve Clifford mentioned this a couple of times this season, the sort of part of the problem with the defense right now. He harps on pick and roll coverage a lot, but some of the problems have to do with just one-on-one defense. Guys making sure that they have an eye, especially weak side, that they have an eye on their man, and we see what some of the consequences of that can be. Because, 2 points here, 2 points there. Yes, it could mean extending a run for the opposition, but a lot of times what it means, those backdoor plays, they tend to get guys into a rhythm. And we've seen it with Jeremy Lamb. He loves to hit that backdoor play with Spencer Hawes, and those are the type of plays when a second unit is struggling, they can put some points on the board easy and get that offense into a rhythm. And so if you can, same with transition, if you can limit those type of plays, then you can keep the opposing offense out of rhythm and that's where the defense is really anchors down.
Yeah. Now to his credit, he did I think hit 7 3-pointers in that game. I believe that was the game he had 7 against the Knicks. So he got basically all those back doors back, right? He got those points back. I mean, he's 5th in the league in 3-point percentage. So he's doing his part. He's doing what he was brought here to do. He was not here brought in to be a lockdown defender. Make no mistake about it.
I've been watching. Are you watching Westworld?
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching Westworld. I'm watching it twice. That's how engrossed I couldn't get into Stranger Things, unfortunately, but I'm really into Westworld.
Doug.
I just couldn't do it.
Christmas is coming up. That's binge season.
I can't. 80. The problem is 80s pastiche. I can't. I can't do the. I didn't live in the 80s. I was not a child.
Well, take a trip. Take a trip.
Well, that's what I just can't connect on that level.
You lived in Westworld?
You don't know my life. I had Furbies as a kid. Hey, by the way, we haven't introduced, and this is my fault, we haven't introduced our wonderful new producer, the one, the only. He's behind the glass this away. We'll get a camera on him one of these days when send us 75 cents a day can get Captain Kurt on camera. So let's welcome into the show Captain Kurt on the Droppity Drops.
I just need to get in the cold tub right now.
You and me both.
I'm going to need it after this show, that's for sure. All right, back to thank you, Kurt. Back to Westworld. The reason I bring it up is because Westworld is all about foreshadowing. I'm going to do a little foreshadowing here. I think you just brought up a great point with Marco Bellinelli balancing out defensive woes with offensive production. It's a story that we're really seeing kind of stitch itself together with other players. We'll talk about that in a bit when we get to phase and stays because it's going to be a theme. All right, let's get to my step back 3 though first. Oh, also, you can see on the screen here, we've got the Twitter feed up. So tweet us at Locked On Hornets with questions, comments. We want to get to a couple of those. Also, if you are on YouTube right now, we have a YouTube, there's a chat function there. Send us your comments, send us your questions. I got an eye on it right now, so I want to read these. Daniel already getting into the action. No love for Stranger Things. I'm appalled. Listen, hold on. I have to say this.
Super defensive.
I have to say this. I truly believe this about television. I don't judge other people's TV habits, and here is why. I believe, especially now that we're in this era of Netflix and you can watch anything at any time and binge watch, I believe that you have to be in a place and a time to accept a television show. Like you have to be in a certain situation to watch Battlestar Galactica or a certain situation.
I haven't watched that yet.
Okay, great.
I didn't live during that time.
One day you're going to be in a play. You're going to be scrolling through and you're going to watch one episode and it's going to connect with your life in some way, and then you're going to jump on board. That's what happened with me in Westworld. I felt like I'm in a place where I can accept really heady sci-fi.
Okay. That's fine. I think the nostalgia thing in the 80s, I mean, there is a piece to that, but it's really just good. It's just good fun.
Listen, it might well be. I'm not going to say it is or isn't. I'm just saying I'm not ready for it.
All right. Okay, fine. Just real quick, Marco hit 5 3-pointers in that Knicks game because Mark wanted us to break out the stats.
They're
broken.
I like you. You lay out a stat initially, and then you double check. You come back in. That's commitment, and I love it. Okay, let's get to my step back. I'm stepping all the way back to Wednesday, Hornets versus Spurs on national television. It was a chance for a few of the Hornets stars to shine bright in front of the rest of the country, and they did so. They did that by putting on the best regular season game that we've seen so far in this young NBA season, highlighted for me by this play. Check it out. Kemba Walker getting ahead of the defense, gets a run out, gets a one-on-one situation to the hoop. What was that? I tweeted, how did he hit that? I mean, it was incredible. Here it is in slow-mo. He has Kawhi Leonard pushing him in the back, and he somehow brings the ball from his ankles.
Yeah, that was insane. That was crazy, and that was like the third or fourth one of the night. I mean, at least he had a couple more where he was just hard charging.
Kemba Walker and the scoop layup. It sounds like a Hardy Boys novel.
The difficulty level on that one. The difficulty level on that one was at a 10.
It's the mystery of Kemba Walker and the scoop layup. I didn't loop these videos. That's okay. This is live programming, folks. So, but anyway, I had to point that out because That's what I wanted to step back to. A, because it's positive, but B, because I think it just shows what Kemba Walker's development or what direction it's really going in.
Yeah.
Because we talked about how easy some of these layups are, and when he's hitting things like that, then some of the rest of these have to be easier to hit.
Well, he's finishing much better in the paint over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And that was a point of emphasis for him. He struggled with it right out of college. I mean, first of all, wasn't getting calls, to your point, was maybe looking for a few too many calls. And now you can see he's not worrying about anything else other than getting up there quick, getting that little scoop shot he's able to get past, especially bigger guys, and using his quickness to get past them and lay it up quickly. I mean, he's having a field day doing that with some of these guys.
People are going to naturally focus on his improved three-point shot. And I've said it on this show before that, he's taking the improvements that he made to that shot 2 seasons ago, and I'm sure he worked on it this past offseason, but the major improvements that he made 2 seasons ago, and he's just applying that to a higher volume of shots, and it's working out. But I really think, and I tried to tease this out at the beginning of the season, because in the preseason I saw Kemba Walker with just, it's hard to explain. It's like a different kind of command over his dribble in the lane. It looked more confident. It just looked and felt like he just saw things 2 steps ahead. And I think you're seeing that. Daniel saying, Kemba needs an endorsement deal with Cold Stone Creamery. Straight scooping. I'm going to pitch that to Eric Collins, Daniel. That would be great, wouldn't it? If Eric Collins said when one of those happened, straight scooping. Well, at least we have me saying it on the drop. We'll get that on there next time. Okay, back again for another week. She's helping us. She's really helping you keep track of the biggest matchups the Hornets will face on the horizon. Giddy up. It's time for the showdown.
Welcome to the Showdown with Calamity James. My name is Claire, and here are the matchups to keep an eye on this week. At 3-13, the Mavericks have had a rough season so far, with some suggesting that tanking is in their best interest, though Mark Cuban strongly disagrees with those assertions, so don't expect them to take their foot off the pedal. Despite their slow start, Dallas has some dangerous players, especially their new additions from Golden State, namely Andrew Bogut. Don't be swayed by the numbers. Bogut has been playing well, and the Hornets must keep an eye on him offensively with his pick-and-roll game, defensively with his rim protection, and on the boards. He is a crafty big guy who can run the floor and create a lot of second-chance opportunities for the Mavericks. Frank Kaminsky has been playing well enough to earn his spot in the starting lineup, and he will keep it at least while Marvin is out. But it will be interesting to see if Cliff opts to start Roy over Cody to play to this showdown. The last time the Hornets faced off against the Timberwolves, they found themselves down by double digits in the first half thanks to a sloppy second quarter, but pulled it together in the third and went on to win by 7. That game was a coaching battle from the start, with Coach Clifford going against his friend and former mentor, Tom Thibodeau. Thibs has been doing a good job of getting the best out of his talented, incredibly athletic players, but they are young and will make mistakes akin to their level of experience. During the last game, Frank and Kemba had great nights and chipped in 20 and 30 points respectively, but this game will be a chess match and won by the coach who doesn't necessarily make the right moves first, but who makes the better move at the right time. If you allow me a college football diversion, let's talk playoffs. Much like everything else in 2016, this college football season has been pretty wild, and the playoff committee will have their work cut out for them. A lot can happen at the conference championship games before the announcement on Sunday, but it seems like Alabama is a lock despite looking shaky against Auburn. The remaining 3 spots will be a battle between Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Washington, Wisconsin, and Clemson. It's possible we see 2 teams from the Big Ten get in, which would set an interesting precedent for the committee in the future. This has been the Showdown with Calamity James, and my name is Claire. You can follow me on Twitter at Calamity_James, and I'll see you all next week.
Big thanks to Calamity James there. Again, Calamity_James on Twitter, really helping us out, helping you out, talking about the big matchups, even getting a little college football in there. Listen, I'm all for it. We gotta hit all sports.
It's that time of year.
Just
you can't ignore it.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
That's right. I mean, it's hard. You can try, but yeah, it's everywhere. All right, let's go back out to the Locked On line and talk to our good friend, co-host Justin Thomas from live from Spectrum Center, where he's holding it down for us and ESPN Charlotte. Justin, we miss you, buddy.
Gosh, I was awaiting
Fellas.
this phone call. I was awaiting this phone call. No, and you notice today there was nothing dry. Like I came in energetic, nothing somber. So I'm excited. I'm glad to be joining you guys.
So you're saying when you're away from here, away from us, you're just much more excited, much more ready to talk.
Hey,
No, that I was just going through a lot, the Romo situation, and things are really weighing heavy.
Oh, no.
Not again. No,
you see,
no.
he baited
now
you.
I'm
He
in
baited
good
you
spirits,
into
though.
it, David.
But I'm in good spirits now, guys. I'm in good spirits, so I'm ready to go.
All right, you're live at Spectrum Center where the Hornets are getting set to take on the Detroit Pistons. What's the word there from the team?
Well, it's always the same with the Hornets. No matter if it's the Spurs or the Dallas Mavericks or tonight, the Detroit Pistons. They want to come out and play well and do everything that makes them successful under the Clifford recipe. But if there's anything that stands out, I would just say getting off to a good start as always, because they tend to hit dry spots to start games and just play smart basketball. Tonight should be an easy victory, but I say that with caution because sometimes you can say that, but in the NBA you can go down any given night.
It's funny, Justin, because last night Steve Clifford mentioned after the game he had seen, or somebody told him on ESPN, they put the chances of the Hornets winning this game the lowest of any in the league, just because, I guess, coming off the back-to-back, the travel, the Pistons had a day off, and so a lot of various factors going into there. Any concern over that back-to-back, or especially like Jeremy Lamb, right? We mentioned this morning it's his first back-to-back since rejoining the team after his injury, but he's been super bouncy of late, which I know helped you get over your Romo hangover.
It's that cold tub.
I don't know if I can say that because I've still been grieving. But, Clifford always says this. He says, the markings of a team is, being good on the second night of back-to-back.
Yep.
And there are times where you can see the Hornets play well, and then you go see them like they did against the Pelicans. They laid an egg. So, there's always a concern for that. For them to have the lowest chances of winning, that's kind of odd, just seeing how bad Detroit has been on the road. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But with Lamb, we're going to see. He talked about, taking care of his body in the offseason and doing the little things. So tonight it will be interesting to see, if he still has that pep in his step, that jumping and all those good things. So tonight, like I said earlier, I would love to say this should be an easy win because on paper it is. But you know how things are. And I think tonight is really important because last night, that was a good win. But Clifford always says that if you're going to be a good team, you have to win on the second night of back-to-back. And tonight is a good test because they've had this problem before. They're playing a team that is inferior, but you still have to go out there and take care of it. So tonight should be a good one.
Justin Thomas, ESPN Charlotte, joining us live from Spectrum Center. Justin, you've been around Clifford for a while. It's kind of, in my mind, I think at least, it's a little unusual for him to bring up that little ESPN nugget. I believe he was referencing an article that sort of broke down some of the tougher schedule games. But maybe he was referencing something else as well. But I know that this game was ranked as one of the sort of schedule losses, if you will, because of the back-to-back nature. But it's unusual for him to bring up any kind of thing like that, don't you think? I mean, it feels like something where he's sort of talking through the media and getting the message out to his guys.
Oh yes, and this was unique. I saw some people on Twitter talking about this, and it's rare that you see anything. Of my years of being around Clifford, this is probably the first time he has ever referenced, an outside source of information regarding his team. That was very alarming. I didn't actually expect that at all. But one thing I have noticed about Clifford as of late, he would always talk about like this team needing to get better, and he would also mention that the stretch that they're in of 18 games and 32 nights. And one thing he's been doing, I've been paying close attention to, is he's eliminating the shoot-arounds. Because understanding how tired you're going to be from playing either a late night or you're flying across country, that rest is important. Because he'll say, 18 and 32, that's a tough stretch. We have guys that are down. We don't get a lot of practice time. And understanding that that's such a tight window and you need to have fresh legs, and taking away some of those shoot-arounds, I think is a really good sign. So tonight, you should see a team come out with a little bit of bounce. They didn't have that shoot-around. They were able, to get some rest in, probably come in, get the treatment, just kind of be lazy for the most part to kind of get their legs back under them. So we should definitely see that. But that was really interesting that Clifford asked for an outside source. I've never heard him do that ever. So
Yeah.
that's the first time.
Very interesting. Now, we know Marvin Williams is still nursing a bone bruise injury in his left knee. Is there any other – he won't play tonight. Is there any other news on the injury front to report?
Nothing at all. He's going to be reevaluated on Friday. Everybody's available. So as far as injuries and updates, that's all we have.
That's great news.
That's fantastic.
I mean, everybody kind of getting back into gear. I thought – I at least hope that some of Marco Bellinelli's struggles to score could have been possibly related to him sort of getting back into the groove from that hamstring injury. It was a small issue for him, but hopefully he plays a lot better tonight. And that could go for a lot of guys. I mean, Marco Bellinelli was quiet, he didn't play very well offensively. Nick Batum was quiet, and I mean when you're and certain guys got more playing time than others. Kemba Walker got his normal minutes, and other guys were able to rest a little bit because of the situation against Memphis. So you kind of hope, David and Justin, that some of these other guys that did get a chance to sit that's what I'm watching for. Will they take command of this game? Will Nick Batum step up and have a bigger role offensively because some of the other guys, Lamb, Kemba, may have to step back a little bit?
I've always noticed this about Batum. So when he got his extension, everybody was like, "Hey, this guy needs to needs to increase his scoring or his assists or rebounds and things like that." Have you noticed? I could be off, but I think my observations are in the same neighborhood.
I could be off, but also I'm a genius.
Yeah, but I think I'm in the right area with this. Have you noticed with Batum, like he picks his spots of when he shows up and he's going to be a real scoring threat. Like there are times like if they get off to a sluggish start and they're like they're about to get ran out the building, Batum will hit 2 threes or 3 threes. And tonight might be one of those times, that they're coming back second at it back to back, and hoping that if you referenced before, some other guys should have a little bit of lift because they didn't get the same amount of run time that they usually get. So we're going to see. But I feel like this could be one of those games where possibly some guys are kind of lagging a bit, and Batum comes out and he goes through one of those stretches where he scores 11 or 13 points in the quarter, because sometimes you need that. And playing against an inferior team, Charlotte is known for coming out lackadaisical. So this could be one of those games where Batum has to come in, drop some threes and kind of get things going.
Yeah, we've seen that, Doug, and you can tell when he's locked in offensively, when he's trying to get them going, when he feels it himself too. I mean, you can see he'll pull up on a break for a three. It's a very confident shot, and he's also very crafty. We've seen him, of course, do the curl around, get fouled on a 3-point shot. Did one of those last night, almost got it to go.
By the way, he's teaching. It seems like he's teaching other guys to do it. I'm seeing it more and more from other players on this team. But I don't remember that being a thing in previous years.
Well, it's and you look at Batum,
I saw
right?
Bellinelli do it. I've seen Lamb do it.
Well, you think, to Justin's point, like you look at Batum, and maybe because of the contract, maybe because of the up and down situation with this season or how he's performed, but I mean, across the board, his stats are almost identical to last year, production-wise. Now, his shooting's a little bit down across the board, but I mean, like a point fewer last year, 14 points still in that area.
What do you say to the obvious question, or the obvious thing that people say is, well, if his production's the same, why did he get paid more? That's the thing to say.
You're asking
I'm just
me?
saying, what would you say to that?
Well, one, the market dictated that, but two, the team improved when he came in town, right? I mean, we looked at that. We were never expecting to see him score 20 points a game. Never. And that wasn't going to happen, and that wasn't going to change. I mean, that may be what you're getting at. Now he's getting this money. What's he going to change about his game to, quote-unquote, earn it? And Clifford and Batum over and over said they're not going to change anything how he's playing. It worked for the team. It worked. It helped Kemba. I mean, hello, you don't have to look much further than the guy he's playing with to see the jump that Kemba's made. You can't separate that from Batum coming on board, in my opinion. I mean, Kemba's put in a lot of work, but a lot of it's been Batum taking some of that load off of him.
All right, Justin, we'll let you get back to covering the team. Last question. I'll be there in about 20 minutes. Can you have some nachos ready for me? My man, I need them. I need some pork nachos. Come on.
Actually, I just had some Supremes. This time I didn't have to use a voucher. Yeah, they had chicken and waffles today, buddy. you missed out.
Oh,
so,
wow.
as far
All
as,
right.
yeah, as far as,
Wait, hold on. I missed out. Listen, you're gonna have to come back here, okay? So Smuggles, get some of. You got pockets. Smuggle some of that out. Come on, man.
Hey, let me tell you, if you were ever a little hungry, you know I'm a team player. I come just to drop some dimes like the two. I can do that every now and then.
Drop me some Supremes dimes, man. Come on. All right, Justin, we'll let you get to it. Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
It was always a pleasure, fellas. Take care.
All right, Justin Thomas, ESPN Charlotte, and of course, his ghost just hovering right in this region here.
So, Doug, 12-4. 12-4 last year on playing with 0 days rest. 16 games last year for the Hornets. 12-4 record.
I mean, we knew this. I mean, we knew they played well in back-to-backs last season. So, can they replicate that success? And to me, again, I think fatigue shows itself over the longer term. So these weeks of playing four games a week for 3 straight weeks, you're going to get some fatigue games, not necessarily on back-to-backs. But I just feel like, look, you're professionals. They've a lot of the players on the Hornets. It's not like this is their first or second year in the league.
Right.
They've been doing this for a while. In fact, the back-to-backs have been getting to be a less and less of a factor. So I think it's more of a focus thing, and I think that's why Steve Clifford's not saying, "Hey, guy," well, he is saying get some rest. He canceled the shoot around, but he's not saying to the media, fatigue could be an issue. He's saying nobody expects us to win this game. I mean, he's talking to their focus. He's talking to their effort. He's not talking to their fatigue. So I just think I'm looking at the players that not necessarily didn't play well, but just weren't as big a factor in that win against the Grizzlies. Can they say, because that's what good teams do. I'll say that's what teams that don't have a bunch of superstars that can do it every night. That's what the good teams do, is you have different guys on different nights. That's what good fantasy teams do as well.
Yeah, so you had MKG, Cody, and Frank, I think, playing around 20 minutes last night, whereas, like you said, Kimba was up around his usual 33, 34. I mean, look, I think Kimba's going to have to play that pretty much night in, night out. He'll take a few nights off here and there, by reduction in minutes or foul trouble or whatever, but they can't afford to have him out there or not out there.
And another thing about Westworld. No, okay, I'm done with that. All right, let's do a quick game of Phase or Stays. This is one of our favorite games on the show. We will read something out and decide whether this trend is a phase, or this stat is a phase, or is it here to stay? Okay, first up, David, Phase or Stays. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, 0 3-pointers made on the year. Phase or Stays?
This is a tough one, Doug.
It is a tough one.
I'll tell you what, he's not even looking at the rim. He's not even looking at the rim on these 3-pointers. The defense, sure as heck, isn't worried about him shooting it.
Nope. And he's not really positioning himself. And you saw how aggressive he was at getting at the rim against Memphis and backing down. You can see his offense subtly changing away from getting himself in a place. He was trying to get to that corner 3 spot. Not so anymore.
Yeah. I just
Stays.
It's a long season, but I don't think he hits one this year.
I'm gonna go phase, because I think one of two things are going to happen. He's either going to sustain an injury that is maybe a month or 2 long, and he gets an opportunity as he rehabs in those final weeks to maybe reset, or during the All-Star break, I think maybe he gets a chance to just sort of clear the mind, reset. I just think he got off to such a bad start shooting the basketball. I think this is a phase. I think he does get a few 3-point. We're really just asking, will he hit 1 3-pointer for the rest of the season?
I mean, he's taken 3.
Yeah, not good. Okay, so anyway, I'm moving on. Spencer Hawes getting more minutes than Hibbert right now. Is that a phase or a stays? Because Hibbert's healthy now. There's no excuse in that department anymore.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be more or less even, but I think, given that they're both healthy, I still think Roy Hibbert's going to come out just a touch on top. I mean, you look at it, Spencer Hawes didn't even play in one game in the last week, so his minutes are a little more up and down than Hibbert, and that can happen to Hibbert. I just think it's going to be close, but I think Hibbert probably comes out on top.
Yeah, for those in the camp of trade Hawes, it's nice to have him, be able to guard a Marc Gasol and different things.
So that's a phase, I suppose.
I think it's a phase too, though, because I think you can't deny Hibbert's size and the way he impacts a game defensively. I think eventually, especially when we get down to playoff time, it's going to be Hibbert. All right, last one. The Hornets are on a winning streak tonight. They play Detroit. Phase or stays? Real quick, David. Do they get this win tonight?
Oh.
Did they get the win?
Yeah, I think they were in a good spot. I think that Knicks win really got them back in a groove. I think this Memphis win last night was a big jolt of confidence, and so I think they come back home and take care of business.
All right, just enough time for one last thing. Saturday, the Hornets took on the Knicks in Charlotte. A lot of star power colliding. You had Kemba Walker, you had Derrick Rose, you had Nick Batum, you had Carmelo Anthony. But that paled in comparison to what forces of nature were colliding on the sideline, or should I say forces of nature, boy. Look at this from Twitter.
I thought that was him. I thought that was him in the stands. And I was like, no.
And Michael Jordan, yeah, the WWE was in town, I think. And look at this, shaking hands, getting comfortable, and then watch what happens at the end here. Patting the arms. That's great. Well, their affection, David, shouldn't surprise you. Ric Flair has always had an affinity for MJ's greatness. In fact, he once said that a long time ago, he had a hand in it.
Michael Jordan and I have a lot in common. Larry Bird said himself, Michael Jordan is God dressed up in a basketball player, dressed up like a basketball player, and a lot of people have said the same thing about Ric Flair. Michael Jordan, you are the greatest alive because Ric Flair said so. Woo!
I'm sure that made him feel nice at the time,
Ric Flair,
right?
taking credit. Woo! Yeah, there you go. We need producer Kurt saying we need a woo off between who? Ric Flair and Mike. Oh, between you. All right, I'll give. Right. That's good. All right, here we go. One. I'll go first.
We're not gonna do it at the same time.
No, that would we'll blow the mics.
That would be weird.
All right, here we go. Woo!
Pretty good.
Woo! Well, longer is not necessarily better.
Kurt, judges. Oh my God.
Oh, Doug. There you go. Finally, I get a little love.
I see how it is, Kurt. All right, buddy.
All right.
Keep it up. Keep practicing.
That'll do it for us. We'll hand it over to the great crew at Fox Sports Southeast. Thanks so much for listening to this live edition of Locked On Hornets, and thanks so much for Justin for joining us from Spectrum Center. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Hornets. Subscribe to us on iTunes and stay up to date on the Hornets every single day with our weekday shows. And we want to hear from you. As always, email us your Hornets thoughts, your questions, your comments to buzzbuzz@hivetalklive.com. For David and Kurt, I'm Doug, and Justin, of course. Go Hornets, go America. Let's swarm Charlotte. Beat the Pistons.